Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan Nair, and this is basically formula part 203 number 203. So till now, basically we have discussed lots of things. We have discussed that how Abu Dhabi basically person group, how Abu Dhabi basically country, sorry UAE country was not able to track the blood cells equal to disease. Then basically the Italian, then Germany, then USA Health Department, and then basically those country basically who created the US software company basically the person who basically created the blood cells data of the for the software companies. For example, Microsoft blood cells is created by one of the person, and that was basically created by one of the groups basically guys. And in that group basically one person got this disease and he died. Like this basically then the real person basically who basically works in software industry. For example, he was working in .NET, C, C++, C Sharp, Oracle, and he basically know that the .NET is created from thousands for from 4,000 cities. .NET basically is created from 4,000 cities. So he was basically each and everything basically he was knowing. So that person also basically died. So like this basically, then slowly basically the this all six people basically diverted into the another planet. That also we have so. Then basically they cloned the some group basically cloned the six person, and then basically that their blood cells again got activated, and that activation basically when they were in Earth planet that time basically that blood cells basically was not getting the name, but when they connected to other planet, then basically the blood cells got activated. The blood cells name was getting, and that blood cells name was Mars blood cells. So they shifted that 6% to that planet where basically the Mars blood cells basically was activated. So you can just imagine the dangerous level basically the world is basically. You can say the world is moving, and the main year thing is basically world basically have 2 months backup. So whatever power supply basically the set of groups basically are going to pass to the each and every cities, each and every countries. That basically they pass in advance of 1 to 2 months. For example, I am in Vadodara city, so whatever power supply they are going to pass for 2 months, they basically passes. They basically gets the data from one of the group to their company basically. So which type of data basically they are getting, that also basically we have discussed. I have taken one example of the CRM project, that CRM project which was going to generate vegetables or petrols or oils. That basically is going to the power company was knowing that this company is generating the CRM project. .NET group basically that was Microsoft group also basically knowing that this company is going to generate CRM project. So the company owner basically was knowing that he is generating the vegetables from this CRM software. So that person basically was knowing it. So the set of groups basically they were knowing that this CRM project is going to generate. This CRM project is going to generate, right? And we basically saw that also that there are in front of world the things, and basically in really there nothing basically works in real world. We have taken one example of the sun and moon that does not exist. That was basically in front of the public, right? But in real basically sun and moon does not exist. Whatever you see in the sky, that is basically the effect of the lights, and lights are equal to planets, and earth planet is basically generating one set of lights. So you can just imagine how dangerous the light is also. Lots of people says that what actually the light is, that's very dangerous also. And one more thing, basically, for example, one person told that computer basically was introduced in one of the German country. So one person basically asked the question: do you have do that German basically have the set of power supply chain on the base of the computer was got on? Then basically they told that that time basically who might be knowing that there was that time basically the concept of the energy was introduced. So he told that yeah, that time also basically the experiment was ongoing. Then basically that might be the secret. Basically the group might be having that thousand city equal to creation of vegetables. That basically the experiment was ongoing. So Germany basically is a country basically who have the all the construction informations of the thousand city equal to textbooks. So like this basically there are many things basically that is very difficult to track also. In with this basically we have taken one example that people dies and there are 20 lakh planets in this universe where basically the humans are shifted. And this basically who which group basically might be knowing? That is basically the question, right? Which group this might be knowing that this person has died and shifted to other another planet? And in front of the world basically we are trying to shift to another planet. Sorry, not trying to shift. We are trying to find out basically where human can stay the life. Human can have their normal life as our planet is having. We are just trying basically. So in front of the public, this is the scene basically. You can see in Bollywood industry basically it's told as scene basically. So the visualization is like this, that the scientist basically groups are finding the planets where basically the human can stay. And we basically saw that also. For example, tomorrow basically the satellite is going to launch, but basically that satellite has launched a long before. Basically that was basically 1 or 2 week before, and the process also has started, but in front of public what, it's going to launch tomorrow. So you can just see the dangerous thing also basically. The dangerous thing basically that is in front of the world and not in front of the world. So this all basically the government groups 100% might be knowing. That's why basically they are sitting at the, they are going in the red light car, red batti car. What to governments? They are sitting at the government places. They are this basically by it's a normal thing, right? If the one normal person is knowing this all this thing basically, then it's a government industry basically. It's basically it's industry, right? Government is basically nowadays one industry, you can say. Nowadays you can say it's a one industry basically. And we have saw lots of things related to this also. So you can just imagine the scenario the world has reached. So here basically we were talking about the subscription plan, which the World Bank is telling that we basically know each and everything. Then basically, if World Bank basically know each and everything, then basically the six people were died. Six people basically died. Where basically the thing was wrong. They diagnosed the thing basically. First they diagnosed the Abu Dhabi. They told that they were not able to track that blood cells. Then Italy, then German, then USA, then at last the Bangalore city basically. The 20 to 30 hubs basically. This hubs equal to one hub basically contains 100 to 100 buildings. 100 to 100 buildings basically. So like this basically there are 20 hubs buildings, sorry, 20 hubs in the Bangalore city, and basically you can say more than 10 to 20,000 buildings are there of the just for the software basically, and they were also basically not able to track the thing. They were also not able to track the roadmap of the blood cells equal to disease address. Blood cells equal to disease equal to address of that physical area. And each and every blood cells basically have physical area that is by default we know this. This all everything basically the normal people also know that blood cells is equal to physical area. For example, Microsoft blood cells is there. That basically everybody knows, right? SAP blood cells is known there. Salesforce blood cells is also there. Why? Because the Salesforce SAP basically was created long before basically in 19 I think 40 the SAP creation was started, and that contained First World War data and Second World War data also. So you can just imagine the SAP creation basically has happened. The SAP creation has happened up to that level that contain the First World War and Second World War data also. Lots of people says that the people who died in First World War and Second World War, they are cloned as human cloned, and they are placed in many of the countries. That basically SAP knows. The SAP industry, basically the SAP company, they knows that how many people are died in First World War and how many people are died in Second World War, and how the basically the SAP industry is connected with the physical location, and how the people basically who died and how they are human cloned, and how their blood cells basically are connected with the SAP software. SAP software. So you can just imagine the dangerous level. The First World War, the Second World War. People are dying, Russ. People are only just dying. People are only just dying. There is no value of human basically, you can say, in nowadays. These six people basically died, but World Bank basically was not able to track that six people. And then basically the suddenly they shifted to the another planet, and there basically the blood cells got activated. World Bank basically don't know this. Blood cells got activated, and then basically the whole world basically got the disease. How the chain was basically generated, that also we saw that these six people basically was knowing each and every people, that basically connected that disease basically connected to that people, and suddenly basically the whole world basically connected to the chain of the disease, and lots of people died. That also basically everybody knows. This everybody think, I think the government basically might be 100% doing. That's why basically they are sitting at the government place. That's why basically they are sitting at the government place. And basically nowadays, I will take one more example. What actually the government is. What actually the government is, that I will take the best example. One person basically, one Bollywood person basically asked the government, uh, without basically government permission, you can purchase anything. Then basically that government person told that we can't purchase a single pen also without government permission. For the government department use, we can't purchase a single pen also. So basically, he was shocked. That Bollywood basically person basically was shocked, because Bollywood group basically do the visibility task, right? They are basically not the government. They are just doing the playing the role of the government basically. Whatever the government role they are understanding the user stories. They are understanding how basically the government is working, and according to that, basically they display in the movies basically. That's their task, right? They are not the government. They are just displaying that. Few basically director and producer are very honest, so they directly display the each and every honest part, and few people are basically little bit afraid of the government, of the people basically, on the base of the user story is getting generated, so they don't display basically directly the thing. They are not displaying the directly the thing. So basically there are many directors, producer basically, that depends upon the power basically they have. Few people says that we are very powerful, nobody can touch us. That group basically introduce the many dangerous movies also, that basically nobody can touch them. So here basically we are discussing that government says that we can't purchase the one single pen also. Then basically the Bollywood person asked that person basically why it's like that, because he told that we know basically this pen ink in the paper basically, when you write anything in the paper, that validity is up to this many time period. For example, one pen basically we have written in one paper, that validity is just for 10 days. One another pen basically we use, that validity is just for 20 days. So like this basically the government is telling that we know the pen validity. According to that basically we give the special orders to the set of pens department basically, sorry, the pens company. Pen is basically one department, right? You can say this is one department, but if you anybody says that pen department, then basically you can just imagine it. But this is one department for one of the group basically, you can say pen department. So in pen department, this was the one of the pen basically which was ordered by the government, and the government tells that we want this pen, whatever pen basically we are using, for certain validity only. So that time basically the Bollywood person told that, oh, we understood this user story. Then basically he asked that this pen basically we are using in overseas purpose also, right? Overseas means outside India purpose. Then basically he told, yeah, basically we are using, but the other country basically are also giving the same thing basically, the pen thing. It's a pen written statements. So that basically also contains some certain level of validity. So just see the interconnection basically of the governments. Each and everything basically are connected with each other. Few people says that each and everything are connected with each other. So this is also one of the example of the basically the government. So government basically can't do anything without the permission. That is the one thing basically. If they can't purchase one single pen, then you can just imagine the permission. If they want to do some certain big level task, then basically you can just imagine the permission up to the level basically the permission might be connected. The permission might be connected. Reason is one pen also government can't purchase. So just see the deepness level basically the government has explained to that Bollywood person basically. Then that Bollywood person told that basically to create the government level movie, you should know each and everything. Basically. You can't assume the thing basically. The Bollywood person told that basically previously I was assuming that if the pen thing was the if basically the Bollywood person has not asked the government, then basically he might have assumed something else basically. That might be some cost problem, that might be some tax problem. The pen company might have not paid the tax. That's why basically they don't purchase to that company. Like that basically he might have assumed that. But then after having this answer from the government, he told that it's not supposed to be assume anything basically related to the government task. So he was shocked basically. He was shocked by the answer given by the government person that you can't purchase one single pen also. That's why basically the government group says that we are ready for any situation. That's why basically the if they say that basically I want pen, then basically within day basically they will get the pen. Why? Because they are ready with the purpose, with the plans basically. You can see in software industry it's called project management plans. Project management plans basically. Few people says that basically few people says that after certain time basically what are the things certain government has to do, that basically are also planned, because it's not possible to write the certain level of plans for the countries which the country sorry for the cities basically, how the city is going to run. So there are basically certain groups basically, they already have the certain level of plans. So government basically says that we just purchase the plans. That government says that we want this type of plan. So there are basically IIT groups are there, IIM groups are there, the big level of government groups are there. They are basically connected with this IITs and big level degrees groups basically, who basically says that we have the certain level of plans, certain level of plan. For example, I will take one example. One of the government told that we are basically into the power. So we got the order that the one basically businessman invested in one city, and he told that basically we want to create vegetables, oils, and petrols. Nowadays, basically, the city creation is happening like this only, but it's dangerous also. That why dangerous basically that we are going to discuss. Um they told that basically the businessman told that how we want this all creation vegetables, oils, and fruits. Basically, in fruit, basically we just want chiku and apple, chiku and apple. So basically, chiku, apple, and banana we also basically we will take. So like this, we want this all uh, items basically. So according to that, basically we can create the plan. According to that, basically we will display this or this plan in front of the people basically who are the professional groups basically, who says that we are the professional group and we can design this all this thing and we have the experience also. The group basically gets the quotations, and then basically after getting the quotation, they basically display the presentation in front of the government that we can do this, we can do that, how basically up to what level the we have the data of the blood cells. Basically we can we can integrate the uh, blood cells with the one city to another city. Basically if one country, any country basically want this data basically, then also basically they can get. So up to that level basically they do the certain level of presentation basically, they do basically the certain level of presentation basically. So like this they do the certain level of presentation in front of the government. Then basically the government gets the budget. Basically this is the basically amount basically they have claimed, and this amount basically they are going to take. So basically they got the quotation, and like this government told that basically yeah basically this company can basically this group basically can do the work. So like this the government basically few group basically that are basically the government authorized people basically gets connect with that particular groups that are basically the private groups. Few, but the government are connected with each other. Entire world basically is not government. Few professional groups are there who are basically into this creation. But without government approval, basically they can't create a single building also. Without government permission, they can't create a single building also. If they are creating also, then basically they are no the in energy pipeline basically. This building doesn't count basically, does not gets count, because each and every building's data basically are sent by the government only. So they don't send the building data to the subscription plan. If they send them then basically they send separately. So there are like this also things also. So like this, the data basically got by the government that this person is going to do this contract. So like this, the contract started and the city creation happened, and then at last basically the human needs got generated, and the blood cells got human needs generated, and the blood cells got generated, and the disease basically which was going to happen, that data was also basically R&D and the R&D. So the each and every blood cells equal to disease, and disease equal to the roadmap of the city's creation. And basically roadmap also basically generate disease which is going to generate, that also basically the R&D department of that group basically was having. So they displayed the each and every disease in front of the government, and they told that these all are the disease and these all are the medicines basically. If any disease comes like this, then basically you have to give this message like this. Basically government taken each and every orders, each and everything. They've checked the each and every chemicals from the medicines was basically created. So medicine was basically, you can say, city's energy. Disease is also city's energy. So like this, each and everything was basically verified. Each and everything was calculated, and then basically they given the order to the. Sorry, they told that basically we can give you the rest of money. Like this, basically the task basically was completed. So like this task was basically completed. So this is also one of the user story of the governments. This is also one of the user story of the government. So whatever government knows, that basically they do up to the 100% level, like because they know the thing. If they don't know anything, basically, then how basically they are going to do? Because they are also human beings, right? Government, we say that government, no. They also have full power basically. They can rule the entire city. But they are ruling on the basis of certain data only. They are not the god, right? They are getting the disease medicines. Then only basically they are giving that medicine, right? Because they have it. Then only basically they are giving. If the new disease comes, then basically how they can? Then basically directly they are going to pick that person basically who created the cities. If he basically exists, then basically the government gets the data of the medicine. If that person exists, then basically the government gets the data. Like these things are also there. So you can just imagine the dangerous level government is ongoing. That also basically you can say that if that person does not exist, then basically what government is going to do? If suddenly assume that some new disease came from that city creation, from that city creation, and the group basically which created the thing, they basically something happened basically to them. Then what government is going to do that time? So basically they have to think up to the energy level and up to the nuclear plant level. So for that basically they basically have to create the set of IITs, IIMs groups basically, and they have to train them, and they have to tell them they have to launch into the market, and in front of the public basically they have to launch them, and they have to keep the control with them, and the nuclear power company and the energy company basically gets the control. So like this basically there are many things basically you can say. Like this basically it's not possible basically. In practically basically this type of stuff basically it's not possible. Few people says that the businessman basically which this person is going in a helicopter, he's basically government army. He's basically the government the army. Then basically he told that how you can say is the government army, because he told that basically we have placed him there. We have given him the role of the businessman. Then basically that type of things are also basically there. That type of things are also basically there. For example, he told that this basically ONGC is a central government, right? So he central government. It's a central government. So like this basically this in central government basically there are many private energy power companies are basically also created on the base of central government. That is basically the ONGC. So whatever things are going to happen, but this basically is not in front of the public, right? Public basically know that this is a private energy company and private power company. So government basically knows that ONGC basically has created this all power companies and energy companies. Government knows this, that this basically is created by the private companies. Sorry, by the ONGC company, and this private company is created. So now basically we will connect to that area basically. After that sixth person basically died, the whole world basically got the disease. But here the error was the software basically was not able to track the thing. Why basically they were not able to track? Because the reason was the roadmap basically which was entered in the roadmap basically equal to blood cells equal to disease, and disease equal to roadmap, and roadmap is equal to the city's creation, that this city changed to that city changed to that city, and this basically 15 city chain basically is going to generate one vegetable, and that vegetable is going to generate this blood cells, and on the base of going to merge with other blood cells, it is going to generate this all diseases. And if the body contains the antibiotic of that diseases, then basically is not going to get the disease, and otherwise basically is going to get the disease, and then basically is going to get the treatment of the disease. That is the medicine basically. So this all basically is the roadmap. That time basically when the disease got, that time basically the blood cells equal to disease and disease equal to roadmap, that basically was not able to track. So that was the physical location which was not able to track. Why physical location was not able to track? Because the data was not entered. And why data was not entered? There might be some reason basically why data was not entered. Reason might be they might not be having the data. They might not be having the data. Otherwise, basically nobody is going to do this um, by error, basically, right? They are not going to do this by error. By error means you can say by mistake they are not going to do, right? By mistake, basically they are not going to do this. So like this, basically things are also there. They have basically not forgotten basically the thing basically, right? For example, one data has to enter into the system basically. That was basically the roadmap of the blood cells equal to disease. Then basically they told that basically we forgotten the thing basically. We basically was supposed to enter, but we got some other task. So basically we forgot the thing basically to enter the data. So that is not possible, right? This type of foolishness basically nobody will is going to do. Or basically the priority basically comes into the picture. Who is basically this basically comes into the manager task basically. For example, there are 10 tasks basically given to the developer team to do by the manager. Then basically the manager decides basically which task basically is the urgent level priority task, and which level is the not urgent basically priority task. So like this same way basically the data supposed to enter that was not priority task. Like this basically nobody, because this was the major data, right? This was the major data. So this priority might be high. So project manager might have the project manager of the medical department might have told that basically, yeah, this is the high priority data which is supposed to enter. So like this basically things are there. So you can just imagine the thing basically, the critical levels basically. So whenever basically you diagnose the blood cells, that time basically your blood cells equal to disease and disease equal to roadmap, that basically comes into the picture. So that was not able to track by the group basically. You can say. So like these things are also basically there. At last basically that six people died and the lots of people also died. Why? Because that data only was not entered. But this basically never happens basically. It might be some high priority basically the things basically which was missing basically, you can say. This nuclear company also basically can't say that we basically forget and the thing. Basically how they can forget the thing, right? How they can forget the things basically. If basically nuclear power company says that nowadays basically the oxygen power supply basically which is getting, that is getting how basically they are getting from nuclear power company only. For example, there are 100 people staying in one city, that basically gets the oxygen data of that 100 people by digital only. Na? They are getting the oxygen power supply of the 100 people by digital basically. Nowadays the world is digitally connected. Previously it was also there. That time basically it was connected with the satellite. But nowadays basically it's a computer world. So the task basically has transferred from that satellite to the world in our planet, and satellite group basically trusted this group. Satellite group basically trusted this group, and they basically passed the entire information to the nuclear power company and the energy company and the power company, that you just pass the data of the 100 people. So satellite group trusted the group basically. But the control basically they 100% have the each and every 100 people. So each and every basically data which the nuclear power company and the energy company is passing to each and every people. For example, after 2 or 3 days, basically this oxygen power supply is going to pass to these 100 people. That basically is passed today only. After that, basically he is going to get that data basically after 3 days. So within 3 days, basically the satellite groups basically uh, check that data basically which type of data they have passed. So they have the oxygen pipeline data, right? They have the oxygen data basically which is going to be passed. Sorry, which is going to be passed after 2 to 3 days. So satellite groups basically by default are connected because they are only going to get effect one day. If the wrong data is getting passed, then basically one day they are only going to effect. That's why basically they mostly basically checks each and every data basically which is getting passed, which are basically getting passed. So basically you can just imagine the critical level. The critical level basically the world has reached. So few people says that basically we are not able to track the chain basically. We actually forget the chain basically. Then basically he told which chain basically you have. Then he taken one example basically. Everybody knows that the world is created by 59 languages and 59 languages basically have one chain. And 59 language basically created to 15 countries and 215 countries are basically connected with each other. And from on the base of 215 country basically the all the world all world sorry whole world basically sorry all human need basically from these 215 countries all human needs has created from 215 countries from 59 languages from 59 languages to 15 country basically got created. So just see the basically the dangerous level. It's not dangerous basically, it's very dangerous. If anybody basically forget the thing basically, then you can just imagine the critical end. That's why basically the Earth planet is always kept as separate by the universe group, and each and every planets are also not connected with each other. The 20 lakh planet is there. 20 lakh planets is there basically. The world has created there, and from the Earth planet only basically the people are going there. But nobody basically in this world basically is knowing this. But the Bollywood groups basically knows because they have to keep the track of the each and every death people basically where they have reached. So you can just imagine basically the dangerous level. The Bollywood group basically are also reached up to the dangerous level. You can just imagine the power of the Bollywood groups. But they are basically not the government. Again, basically I am repeating the word. They are powerful. But they are powerful up to what level? That they know the information. One example basically I have told the government basically has given the information that that person basically whatever thing basically that person asked by the to the government that why he purchased the pen basically he can't purchase the one pen also. So what answer basically the government person has given that basically the Bollywood groups knows, and mostly they are going to display in front of the public that also they knows. So they can't say the wrong information also because one day basically they are also going to might suffer also, might suffer basically. Mostly basically they might not suffer, but if might suffer, then basically what will happen? So like this also things are also basically there. So the complexity which we are going to discuss that is the 59 languages. From 59 languages basically the 59 language basically created from the symbolic language, and symbolic language basically have 2900 symbol, and 2900 symbol basically are created on the base of the universe basically, and this 2900 symbol basically are existing in the universe, and each single basically symbol basically connected with the thousand like crores of planets and galaxies. So one symbol basically if we say that there are 2900 symbol basically, and currently basically which symbol basically is ongoing in this world basically, that is basically 59 languages. 59 languages, which languages basically the 59 languages created on the base of which symbol basically, if anybody want to know, then basically that's very easy to know. For example, the universe has told that we have created this 2900 symbol, and currently this number symbol is ongoing, and from this symbol basically the 59 languages created, and the 59 languages basically has created 215 countries, then basically this would be 100% correct. But the complexity basically thing here is that one person told that we basically forget few things. So what is that few thing basically? That is basically the to 15 countries basically was created on the base of 15 and languages, and on the base of that 215 and 215 country basically the around assume that around 7 lakh basically the human needs basically got created, and they generated the oxygen pipeline also basically in the internet gas pipeline, and suddenly basically they forget the diagram basically, and suddenly the thing basically happened is that nuclear plant power plant basically which was having the each and every information, that was also by default destroyed from the on the due to some earthquakes. So each and every information which the nuclear power company was having, that data basically also was destroyed. Few people say that this nuclear power company basically created that nuclear power company, that nuclear power company created that. Like this, basically each and everything basically changed around me. Then one person told that basically nuclear power companies are connected with the set of computers, right? And computers basically are connected with the power supply company, and power supply companies are connected with also again with the set of power companies and nuclear power company, and from the satellites, and from the satellites like this basically they are connected like this. You can just imagine. So here the question basically was the which the basically the forgotten thing was basically the computer was basically not able to track the information that from which area basically the power supply is getting supplied. Due to the earthquake basically few chain basically was got destroyed. So due to that destroyed chain basically the power company was not able to track the power supply. Due to that basically something happened. Due to that basically the something has happened basically. So like these things are also basically there. Like these things are also basically there. So here basically the thing was computer equal to power supply, and power supply computer runs on the base of certain power supply, and power supplies are basically created on the base of cities. For example, Microsoft is one company, and he has created more than 20,000 cities, and 20,000 city is the power supply chain of the Microsoft, and it's connected with each other. For example, 15 power supply chain, 15 city basically is going to generate vegetable, and that vegetable is energy is going to sorry that vegetable is going to create, and that vegetable is going to eaten by certain groups, and that is going to merge with the set of blood cells, and then basically the things are going to generate that basically the that is the basically the creation that is happening in these 15 cities. Like this, basically they have created more than more than 20,000 cities, more than 20,000 cities. So this is basically the one of the power supply chain. So whenever basically .NET gets updated, so .NET is created on the base of 1,000 cities. So whenever that 1,000 city basically creation happens, updation happens, then basically the power company, each and every country power company basically gets that updation of the city's roadmap, so that the .NET basically whenever it's going to load, whenever it's going to update, then basically it will get the exact power supply which is going to be supplied by the power supply company. So this is basically the 2000 sorry 202 part, and in 203 part, and in 204 basically we are going to discuss a little bit more about the software industry and how basically the software industry is connected with the Bollywood industry.